Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Crypto Wizard podcast. Now, it's been a long time coming. I've been very, very excited to finally get back into the swing of things and give you all another platform to actually hear out the podcast that you originally heard on a free basis for everybody to listen to. Now, I've never done it to an audience this big before, as it was specifically for my prior members. So this is quite a new experience for me as well, having this many people potentially listening to the podcast. Now, I've got a new microphone set up, so I do apologize if it comes across as a slightly sexy, jazzy voice. I cannot help that. It's coming across that way through the microphone. That is not my intention whatsoever. Now, before we kickstart the podcast, I'll give all of you guys who are new to Crypto Wizard and all of you guys who have potentially heard of me before. The way I do my podcast is normally following a specific structure. I like to cover the coin market cap. I like to cover the overall market statistics, whether that's the BTC dominance, the market cap, you name it. Then we shift into some crypto news, some crypto discussions, and then I like to end it off with either a thought-provoking cryptocurrency discussion, or if not, a life lesson of some sorts, whether that's philosophical or psychological or any aspect of life that can be beneficial and motivational to you all. I will likely end it on a positive note like that. Now, a quick disclaimer. I do not stop talking once I get started, and there will be times during this podcast where I may swear, I may get a bit loud, I may get a bit too overexcited. This is simply me as a person. I'm just expressing how I am as a human being. There is no filter here. This will be raw podcast. There will be no fancy editing in terms of cutting them up with sound effects. Just raw, one take. I do not like to go back. I will mess up. I get excited. Sometimes I mess up my words and I end up having some form of Tourette seizure. It's okay. I continue pushing. So please do not worry if this is not one of those highly fancy, highly overwhelmed and trying to put on a show. This is just me being brutally real. So to kickstart this, and by the way, I used to say members. I'm going to have to start these podcasts from now on saying wizards. So it goes without saying, let's just jump straight into the coin market cap side of things and actually discuss first the BTC dominance. So looking at the BTC dominance right now on coin market cap, it's currently dropped to 50.7%, whereas in the past week or two, it's been up there in the 51s and 52% as well. We've seen a lot of fluctuations, but in the past week, we have seen that drop from almost 52% to 50.7%. So we dropped around 2% in a matter of 7 days to 10 days. And it's quite exciting to see, because if you're looking at the market overall right now, and you are looking, especially if you've watched the Wizard Wednesdays breakdowns and the market updates in the Telegram, you would have seen the total market cap chart I've started using. Again, many of you have never heard of this, so please get onto TradingView and use the crypto total market cap as well. It's absolutely unreal. A great way to analyze the market as a collective, and it obviously mirrors BTC quite accurately as well. So it's a good way to combine several factors and pick up a good market sentiment along the way. So having a look at this right now, with the way the market's broken out from a major trend line from a total market cap perspective, we are nearing a very serious resistance level on BTC in particular as well. We are looking around 4,200 being broken, and it kind of goes to show that as the market has slowly begun to rise again, the BTC dominance is dropping as a result as well. So there's almost a negative correlation right now, which is very promising to see, because for quite a while now, the altcoins have hit a very significant and serious low, and that has kind of given me a sign that maybe we will not be breaking much lower for the time being. But I do not want to rule this out, and I want to lay a lot of cards on the table from now. Until Bitcoin is back and above $6,000, we are still well and truly in a bear market. And I do think this is a very big misinterpretation that many people have not yet understood. Especially if you're new to the market, you may believe that because we can surge from $4,000 to $6,000, we're in a bull market or there's a bull run. This is actually very far from the truth. And I'm just using the BTC dominance now as a kind of guidance to what could be occurring. I mean, very easily right now, I do see a market surge actually very slowly but surely reaching $6,000, but I still would not rule out tumbling all the way back down. The last swing high we've actually seen on a monthly chart on BTC is around $7,800 to $7,777 So around that region, there is actually a prior swing high that has never been seen since. We just absolutely plummeted. You may remember last year, and when we were actually covering these market movements, I was calling for that 6,000 break for almost an entire year. We caught the first move to 6,000, and then the 6,000 break many people did not believe would be coming true. However, that came through like a rocket ship and absolutely ripped a hole in that support floor. So where we're currently consolidating right now, there is definitely a breakout to the upside pending. I mean, even if we hit around 5,000 to, well, actually, to be honest with you, $4,800 is a nice ideal upside target. From there, you might see a slight breach to around 5,200, but even if we hit 6,000, for me right now, I'm not ruling out an absolute reversal again to the downside. And if I just get up a Fibonacci from that prior high all the way down to where we were, it actually aligns perfectly with around $6,000 and $6,850. So any breach from that region could still very well lead to a meltdown. And I do believe that will actually drop us down if we reverse from this region. Put it this way. If we fail to break $6,000, all we have simply done is created a new lower high. And what this will do for the long term, as many people are projecting anyway, with all of these new implementations and adoptions coming from major corporations, it's more likely than not that 2020 will be a very significant year for the market. However, in terms of something I'll be discussing further on in this podcast, institutional adoption is reaching its peak this year. We are seeing more adoptions, more test pilots, more use cases than ever, and more government, bank, and institutional financial institutions and Wall Street. You see, I said Wall Street, so I'm already beginning the slurring. So we are seeing a massive boost in interest and actual adoption for the market overall. And I believe this is just slowly but surely paving the way and creating those stepping stones along the river to what is going to be a whole new world order. And something I'll be covering in a future podcast as well is the whole monetary system and the whole new world agenda, the new world order that will be shifted into a very cryptocurrency predominant world and infrastructure for a whole global market overall, not just in payments, but I'm talking from computer systems to even mail, drop shipping, you name it, cryptocurrency will be heavily involved. But going back to the $6,000 movement, I mean, if we do not break this level, the Fibonacci extensions are aligned with $2,000 and actually $380. And although I do not think we will really see the $380 region, I do heavily believe that $2,000 and $1,000 to $1,200 should not be ruled out yet or anytime soon. This market moves in a magnitude of serious movements, and it can very easily move fast to the upside, but very quickly plummet to the downside. And I believe if we do hit 6,000 again, which is looking quite possible right now, and we do let's just say we fall down to $1,000 to $2,000, I believe this will be a very good catalyst for a 2020 major market surge. Because if you use this factor in line with, we have a whole year ahead of us to actually fulfill these movements, and in a matter of weeks or months, we can see Bitcoin jump several $1,000s. So it's not actually impossible. It's very realistic to see such movements occur. And I do believe with 2020 does arrive and we see that significant market surge, with prices being at $2,000 to $1,000 per Bitcoin, it will be very realistic for many new people to jump on board and potentially close that wealth gap that has been formed from the financial crisis. And we've never actually recovered from the economic and financial crisis. And to be honest with you, we've just been covering it up with loads of fancy monetary actions, quantitative easing, all of this stupid stuff that's really been used to try and aid the economy has actually ended up worse in our favor. US debt is reaching trillions and trillions and trillions. It's getting outrageous, and the bubble will never be fixed. And I do believe there is an economic crisis around the corner. If you have been following my content and pages for quite a while now, whether that was from the past or on my personal, you would know I've been a big believer in the S&P 500 starting to correct, and it actually rocketed straight to the region that was covered, and we've seen that market pull back already. And I do believe with this inverse correlation that is almost on the way with the crypto and stock markets, especially if you're tracking indices or indexes, you will realize that we are starting to see a very overvalued and significant weakness in the stock market versus the crypto market right now. It's becoming increasingly undervalued as we continue to plummet lower. So if we do see $1,000 by the beginning of 2020 or the end of 2019 and the stock market also plummets, then we are looking at a still very overvalued stock market, which has been on a bull run for almost 9 years now. Now, you have to remember the crypto market does what the likes of stocks and Forex do in a matter of days and weeks versus years. So even though the stock market's been in almost 9 year, maybe it's been more than 9 years now, bull run, it does not mean it's seeing returns like the crypto market. So we're very fortunate to be in a space actually where you can see such significant gains. And it has been a lot of allegations that day trading is not possible or it's not necessary. Well, actually, if you're looking at a market that moves on average at the moment 2 to 5% a day, and on a good day you can see 10 to 15% surges. If you're actually comparing this to the likes of Forex or stocks, there is a massive opportunity for people right now to actually capture these moves, of course, sensibly. Even if you were to leverage even your physical holdings as a hodler, there are amazing opportunities on a daily basis to leverage your money and create even a small 2 to 3% return. I think the crypto market has made us very ungrateful for the actual opportunities and percentage of movements you can achieve compared to the likes of stocks and Forex as well. Because when you think that a 2% return is considered very favorable in stocks for a short-term period, when you're seeing these kind of returns in a day, we have to remember to actually show a bit of gratitude for the opportunities that are being provided as well. So having a look at that right now, it is a fairly red day in the market. Nothing's really exceeded 1% rising. And if anything, Bitcoin's down 0.28%, Ethereum's down 1.22%, and XRP's down 0.43% as well. And I like to use Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP as a major measurement for the markets because when Bitcoin's dominance falls, it's normally Ethereum XRP that paves the way and the market starts to emulate their movement instead. So in saying that, CoinMarketCap, I will only be using CoinMarketCap to show you the percentage changes in 24 hours and the BTC dominance. Now, when it comes to measuring the market cap, I always prefer to use Yahoo Finance. And I'll drop a link to that in the Telegram as well for all of you to see. Yahoo Finance actually measures the market cap in a correct manner and does not do a pick and choose or biased way of measuring market cap based on circulating supply, total supply, or what's locked up in escrow. CoinMarketCap does have a major agenda against many cryptos that are not Bitcoin, and as a result, they can analyze the market cap quite infrequently and very different to what it actually should be. And if you actually look at Yahoo Finance now, you will see that Bitcoin's market cap is 52.65 billion, XRP's is 23.85 billion, and Ether's is 11.045 billion. So actually, in the realistic and the correct calculations, XRP is actually second in market cap. And I've always been a believer in this. Yahoo Finance is not biased. They are not biased at all. They have no real relation to crypto. They are not crypto predominant. So they're giving you a very fair analysis of what the coin market cap actual statistics should be. And I always use that as a key figure because in the real world terms, XRP is second in market cap. That goes without saying. I mean, if you actually look at how many coins are in circulation versus what was locked up in escrow and how much gets released every month, there is a major amount in circulation, and that should have easily bolstered the market cap. So that's just CoinMarketCap trying to be a bit sly and fishy. But overall, if you're looking at the market cap right now, we have seen a slight drop in the market cap. Bitcoin's been quite stable. XRP has been fluctuating pretty much between those numbers as well, 23 to 27. Ether has peaked at around 15, 16, but we have seen a slight decline on that side as well. So overall, a fairly stable day in the market. But I am anticipating, if you've been watching the latest market breakdown videos, I am anticipating a nice rise to the upside on this market, and I do believe a very significant bullish surge is on the way. I mean, I can almost smell it coming. The market has been dipping lower. We've seen some manipulative spikes, but overall, I do feel some very big movements are coming. But just remember to stay focused, stay humble, and not get too excited yet. Just because we see even a 200% return, these cryptos are so volatile. The prices of these altcoins are so low. It's not hard to see a 200-300% return and then look at Bitcoin and realize actually it's only a 50 to 70% return because of Bitcoin's price being much higher. So these altcoins can see a much more significant increase in price versus Bitcoin, but it does not mean Bitcoin is exceeding 300-400% returns either. So we have to remember to use that as a staple regardless of the dominance dropping. Now, Going over the news, there's not too much happening in the market right now. There's been loads of issues with the SEC again. They're trying to get security tokens now, and this is going to become the new big thing. I've said this before in an article anyway. I believe security tokens will become the next hype, especially for those who tried to jump on ICOs and got burnt. I believe the average retail investor who kind of goes for those get-rich-quick schemes, they will likely fall into similar traps with security tokens as well. And I believe many manipulators and con men will be using those security tokens as another means to generate and crowdfund multi-millions in investments. I mean, the ICO market raised an incredible amount of money, and if you actually just go online right now and do some research onto all of the ICOs that were so popular in forums in 2017 and 2018, the ones that you would see flooded all over Reddit, you would see them everywhere, and you look at them now and you realize the white papers never really delivered. Where have all those funds gone? Did they even convert them to fiat in time? No, they didn't. A lot of them amassed Ether in the early days, as of course the Ethereum blockchain was the host for a majority of these ICOs, and they were based upon the Ethereum blockchain and the ERC20 tokens. So it makes sense that a lot of Ether was amassed during this process. And to actually contribute towards the major market meltdown, we've seen a lot of these ICO companies very quickly had to sell their Ether back to fiat to fund the projects. But guess what's happened? A majority of these projects have never even come to real life, and we've never seen a working product. So I got burnt a lot in the past with ICOs, and I learnt my lesson, and I've decided to not get involved in those again. And hopefully many people can see the light from that aspect as well. But in saying that, in terms of market progress, what has been elevating quite significantly was what once a fairly frowned upon exchange was Binance. Now, a lot of insiders are discussing right now that BNB, especially the way BNB is exploding in value, again, a great point to mention. BNB, the reason I've paid so much attention to it right now, and I have not FOMO'd in or bought it, but I've been paying a lot of attention to it, and it's made me realize why it's increasing in value. Yes, there are rumors it may be another money-grabbing method, and with the Binance Launchpad, I believe many people are discussing there's rumors it's another money-grabbing scheme. Let that be. However, Binance Coin has a use case, and it's very important to mention this. This isn't investment advice. I haven't even bought it myself. I do not own any. However, I am looking at the use case and I see the value. It provides investors discount. It is used on an exchange where multi-millions of people will very slowly but surely be using it. It's all about looking at what's actually being used and what will benefit the user versus, as you've seen on my Instagram post, having this crazy products that will revolutionize the human body and change the way we process drinks, like all these crazy things that are coming out. It's just fucking stupid, to be honest with you, and it will not benefit any normal human being, especially not now or in the next decade. We need to look at what's working now and focus on those. If you're new to the market, focus on what's being used, focus on what's popular. Don't look at forums, don't look at Instagram too much. Use your head, do some research, and look at what's actually being used and benefiting users versus what looks like a very glamorous and shiny white paper that's been, it's been framed, it's been put on a canvas. We don't need that stuff. It's very unnecessary, it's very extra. That is what attracts the rookie and newbie investor who is FOMOing very hard, and you will very likely get burnt. Focus on simplicity, a working product, a working business. Look at the dev team, do some research, and you'll very quickly realize that if it's being used and people are using it not just for monetary purposes, it likely has a very long-term use case as well. So many people are saying Binance is set to become the world's first decentralized company in terms of exchanges, and I do truly believe that is the case. The way they're moving forward right now, Binance Coin has definitely helped. I mean, it started from, I think it was around $6 Binance Coin at the beginning of the year. Now it's at 15. It's had a very impressive 2019 compared to the rest of the market, that's for sure. And it's already the 7th largest crypto by market cap. So I'm pretty impressed to see that as well. And if you look at Binance Chain right now, it's going to be powering the Binance DEX. So it's a new decentralized exchange. DEX is obviously what it stands for, decentralized exchange. And they're promising to deliver the best of Binance exchanges in a decentralized setting. So I have no doubt that will be achieved. Binance has been making crazy progress. The liquidity they are providing has been surging as well. So it's pretty crazy to see how far they are developing as a company. Now, another news article I wanted to touch upon is the Western Union test pilot with Ripple. This caught my attention. I posted it the other day, and for the first time ever, I actually posted a pretty negative article on XRP. Now, To the newbie or to the person who has not researched the white paper or the company or what they're trying to achieve or even crypto overall, you would look at the article and you would probably see a lot of negativity and panic. I was getting a lot of messages, well, this is bad for Ripple. What's going on? Now, Western Union basically said they have not yet found efficiency with the test pilots they're running with the Ripple platform, and that's because they already have a very solid infrastructure set in place. Their Nostro accounts and all the accounts that are set up globally from all these different corridors around the world, these accounts are very liquid already. So for them, it is not really too necessary right now to switch to a platform, although it can massively save them money and it can help free up the liquidity a lot easier, as there is a major liquidity crisis since the economic and financial crisis. This is a global crisis, by the way. It's not really popular, it's not worded enough, but believe me, when you start reading documents from the global elite, the major banks, the Fed, all of these people and all of these entities, if you actually start reading the emails they're having with each other, even with Trump or with Obama, you are seeing there is a liquidity crisis present. And many of these banks are based upon prehistoric technology, and that's because it's not as easy as finding a new technology and shifting over to it. Because firstly, there has not been any significant, I guess you could say, potentials like the crypto market has provided right now, so there hasn't really been a reason to change anyway. But on top of that, this is a very old and prehistoric system. You cannot simply just switch, because the whole monetary system will have to slowly but surely catch up as well. We have to remember banks are businesses just like any other, and they are here to make money off you. They are not here to protect your money. They don't give a fuck about your money. In fact, they use your money, they take your money and they leverage it to give other people loans. This is how the whole financial crisis and bubble existed and began anyway, because of the greed of bankers and because they're money hungry bastards. So you have to realize right now, if they don't want to change, it's because the system is working, and even though it's dying, it is, believe me, the system is deteriorating. The bubble is coming quicker than you can believe it. But right now, their goal is to milk the living shit out of every single person still using this existing system before they begin switching to a new system. Now, you have to remember, this is where the main topic of the podcast we'll get into very shortly. It's all about the banks right now. And right now, people are talking about adoption. And actually, let's just finish with Western Union. Their exact words were, efficiency has not yet been found, because they already have their Nostro accounts and liquidity set in place, and that's fine, but it does not mean it's a negative. You have to realize, on top of these prehistoric systems taking a long time to actually shift over to a new infrastructure, this is not a bad thing. People will not find the positives, and companies will not find the positives immediately. I actually prefer to hear that not every single partnership or every single test pilot has been efficient and successful straight away, because then it's almost too good to be true. You need negatives. The companies that are working with banks, institutions, governments, or even if it's Tron. People know I'm not a fan of Tron, but even Tron with the dApps, etc. If everything was just running smoothly, it would be too good to be true. These companies need negative criticism. They need flaws. They need I guess you could say assets to improve upon. They need that negative criticism so they can come back stronger and make sure everything is set in place for a much further infrastructure. Now, before we get on to the final part of the podcast, where I'll just be discussing a little bit of a motivational side of things and just about my own life personally right now and how I've really come out of a very bad place to find the greater good. I want to finish off with a very important subject, one of my favorite subjects in cryptocurrency before we move on. And that was an article I posted today in the Telegram, Instagram, you name it. It was called Sleeping with the Enemy and Why Institutional Adoption is Bad for Bitcoin. Now, isn't it hilarious? Go on Reddit, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on Instagram. There is this big agenda. Fuck the government, fuck the banks, crypto all the way. This is why we need Bitcoin. My bank just charged me $5 to withdraw from the ATM. This is why we need Bitcoin. No, it fucking isn't. It's just so over exaggerated, and it's coming to this point now where it's delusion. And I'm just being real here. There is such a big delusion in the market right now where every single flaw that happens in the world or monetary system, a tsunami hits and they're like, this is why we need Bitcoin. No, you don't. It's not that deep. It doesn't need to be that deep. The world knows, and the governing bodies and the financial elites, the global elite, they already know what cryptocurrency's role will play in the new world order. We do not need you to say that your ATM charged you $5 and this is why you need Bitcoin, because believe me, those transaction times and confirmation times, and plus the fees that can happen, especially if you have fat fingers and press the wrong button, they will be a lot worse than an ATM fee. Believe me, there is still a lot of improvement needed in this space, and it's all about being patient. We cannot just rush this adoption. But what's funny is all of this stuff is coming through about why Bitcoin will overthrow banks, blah, blah, blah. But all I seem to be seeing is institutional investment coming. Oh my God, when are the banks getting on board? When are the institutions jumping on board? It's a very tightrope situation where people seem to be pulling both ends of the rope at the same time. It's either you want to overthrow the banks or you want them to fucking help us. Which one do you want? Make your mind up, please. For me personally, there are two sides to this situation and equation, and it's going to be a very big positive. You have to remember last year the market rose so significantly, and of course there was a bit of government and institutional involvement on a low level, but not to the scale it is now. We saw the market rise in 2017 without the elite, without this institutional adoption, without the CME futures. The market rose so significantly off speculation alone. And when you actually think about that for a second, without any involvement from outside parties, it was mostly long-term crypto investors with a very significant amount of holdings, aka the whales, or it was just retail investors or very wealthy investors, retail investors like us that were just jumping on board. ICOs, people were going crazy to put their money in the crypto market, and people were buying at all-time highs because it was just a delusional bubble of, oh my God, this is going to go on forever. And I was very fortunate to call that Bitcoin reversal from $20,000, because when you start seeing random people off the street telling you that this is the best thing to put your money into, or people are seeing me on Instagram investing in crypto and I know they know nothing about it, and they're telling me that I should be buying this, that. Now, if I've been doing this for many years now and you're telling me what to invest in, I shit a brick and took a lot of my money out, because I was like, if you're telling me what to do right now, it's very likely this is a bad time to be holding cryptocurrency. And of course, the overdue market correction came. So we have managed to see a very significant rise without the institutions. And what happened when the institutions did get on board? I will give you a little hint. Bitcoin was at $20,000 approximately, and then the CME futures were released and Wall Street jumped onto the bandwagon. What's happened to Bitcoin? It absolutely fucking died and never returned ever since. And we've only just broken above $4,000. And I'm looking at these news articles now going, oh my God, Bitfinex 4K breached on Bitcoin. And it's like, we are becoming so excited over these small breaks, and we're forgetting that once upon a time we were actually at $20,000, and we probably could have gone higher if it wasn't for Coinbase being so ignorant with their listings. If they actually listed more coins, they would have been much more effective and powerful today, because the Coinbase effect is well and truly gone now, in my opinion. I don't believe there's any significance with listings now. If anything, when something hits Coinbase, it just dumps to the ground. So that kind of shows that many infrastructures were not correct during the bull run, which could have actually aided Bitcoin to go to 50 to 100,000. Who knows? But unfortunately, the cards were played wrong and Wall Street jumped on board. And we have to remember, why on earth, as a professional investor or institution, would you buy at all-time highs? These people make money. They control the markets. They know human psychology. The markets are driven off human psychology. Why on earth would you buy all-time highs when you can trick people with articles to make it believe? How many articles did you see? Investor predicts, successful business tycoon predicts this, that. And it's just so funny because it's like Bitcoin analyst or expert predicts 700k or 1 million Bitcoin, or John McAfee, whatever his name is. The guy literally said he'll eat his dick if Bitcoin falls below like 6k or something. Like, it was all these crazy things that are going on that a newbie is jumping on board expecting to get rich overnight, and Wall Street very quickly humbled a lot of these market participants. But if you kind of understand market psychology and how market cycles work, this is a very healthy correction. It was a very unhealthy surge, so of course that gets reduced with a very healthy correction. You cannot expect the market to go up and say, oh my God, capital, but every time it drops, say manipulation. That's not how it works. And here is why I believe institutional adoption is going to technically get a bit worse for the market, actually, because if we've already seen what CME futures can do to the market, imagine what happens when these institutions actually have a full chokehold by the balls of the crypto market. I mean, look at Forex right now, manipulated to death. The stock markets always been manipulated. It's a consistent thing. You always see banks get sued for manipulation. Do they give a fuck? No. They pay their 50 million fees and they enjoy the 10 million or 10 billion profits they've made on top anyway. It's an easy cycle. You make a few billion, pay a few hundred million in fines, get over it, let's carry on. And that's why I believe that regulation is very necessary in this market to some extent. But also, we need to embrace the low liquidity right now and actually make the most of it, because once the liquidity is there, the only people that will truly be able to control the markets are the FIs, the banks, the governments, and of course the whales on a much more grander scale, where the retail investors will literally have a very insignificant impact on the market at all, if so at all. So there will be an initial surge, I believe, in the market once we start hearing the institutions have jumped on board, but very slowly but surely, once they are able to short the living shit out of the market with futures and whatnot, and once these are backed by physical crypto, a lot of these right now are cash settled or OTC. Once we're seeing physical crypto being used as collateral, then my God, this market is going to become a real crazy free-for-all. Now, it's not a negative. I'm just saying you will not be seeing the same surges you would expect to be seeing in these present days. And I reckon in the next few years, we will have one more bull run, a very significant bull run, but that will be the final bull run. From there, we will begin to mimic the likes of stocks and Forex and just grow more organically. And as this space matures and the technology becomes adopted, then it just makes perfect sense. We will have a new market with so much liquidity and volatility and occasional spikes. There will be even more opportunities to especially margin trade. Once liquidity grows, the spread should drop. Your orders will actually get cleared. I mean, right now, Bitfinex is the biggest liquidity provider for all of these exchanges and brokers. And only the other day, many of us got hit with that spike on XRP and BTC, and our orders didn't even get triggered for several dollars below because the liquidity is still not there and manipulation is at its haven right now. So just something I wanted to cover up, especially if you're new. I wanted to give you a very raw and brutal analysis and insight into what can be happening and why not everything is all glamour. It's good to actually look at the counteractives and the positives at the same time and give yourself a little insight into what could be occurring in the future. Now, to finish this podcast off, I don't want to bore you guys to death, but I do feel I should share this a little bit and just elaborate a bit on my current life scenario. So many of you, if you know me, I just want to explain a bit further. I have been through a very rough time. It's been a very rough month for me. As you know, I used to be on another platform as well. This is my new platform now to voice my opinion. For any of you that are new, I just want to drop a little message that life can get very messy. Life moves in cycles, just like the markets, just like the weather, just like wow, that chair squeaks, just like the solar system. The stars are aligned in cycles. There are lunar cycles, there are solar cycles, there are always cycles in life. If you actually understand Fibonacci, you will see the golden ratio. The golden ratio is present everywhere in living beings and human life and plant life. Everything works in cycles and perfect ratios and calculations. When you are having a bad period in life, you have to remember, this is why I'm so happy now, because I've just realized, why the fuck am I being sad? There's nothing to be sad about. Life is beautiful and you must live life to the fullest, because there will be times where I had a seizure a week ago. I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago. I had a seizure. I had a fucking seizure in bed at like 4:30 in the morning, and I was just watching TV. Next thing you know, I'm hospitalized, and yeah, I shit myself. I was scared. Thought I was gonna die. It was a pretty scary near-death experience. It made me realize that health is most definitely more important than wealth. Health is wealth. I know you hear that saying a lot, but wow, did that hit home when that shit happened. And it's made me realize there's so much focus on the negatives in life and why your life isn't going well and why this isn't going well. But guess what? You're breathing. You've probably got a roof over your head. You've probably got Wi-Fi or internet if you're listening to this, which means you also own a MacBook or a Windows or an iPhone. You own something that is valuable to people who probably do not even have that at home. They probably do not have clean water, electricity. They do not have the luxury of just going to get food whenever they want, or using hot water, or using hot cooked meals. Some people do not have cooked meals yet. And it's just made me realize that life will always move in cycles. With every positive, there will be a negative, and for every negative, there will be a positive. You must realize the markets, life overall, will always bring you down and always bring you up. And if you actually look at life straightforward, again, there's a saying I posted on my story: if you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's because you're not even looking up yet. If you look forward at all times, focus on your vision, sit down and evaluate, what do you want from life? What does life want from you? What is your goal? What is your purpose? figure out what the fuck you want in life and stay focused on that track forever. And I promise you, you will never feel bad again. You have to be grateful for being alive. You have to be grateful for living, because life is very precious and life is very short. I've always said this to people when it comes to spending money, when it comes to enjoying yourself. Do not hesitate. Do not restrict yourself. When it comes to saving money and building and growing yourself financially, of course, sacrifices must be made. But it's very simple, and the seizure kind of told me that. You could have a heart attack, a seizure, a stroke. You could just, a bird could literally, I'm not even joking, a boat could fly off the River Thames and come into me somehow, or a whale could swim into the Thames. This happened before, and the next thing you know, I fall in and it eats me. Anything can happen. A apartment near me, a window fell from the penthouse and crushed a guy as he got out of a coach he was driving to go to the toilet. Life can naturally select, and unfortunate things can happen. I could literally die, very bad to say, whilst doing this podcast. You have to realize life is for living. Enjoy yourself. Do not worry about negatives, because the more you dwell on negatives in life, the more it will be attracted back to you. You have to focus on the positives. If you're in a bad place in life right now, take this from me, man the fuck up. Go and read a book, go and study, go outside, get some fresh air, do what makes you happy, go and pick up a hobby, go gym, go swimming, just lay in bed if you have to, just recover and do what is good for you. And I promise you, the bingo moment will click in your head where you realize, I don't need to be feeling sorry for myself. I don't need to be feeling sad, because life is always going to get better. And as long as you stay on that cycle, the cycles will never change. You cannot avoid them. If you ride the cycles the way they're meant to be ridden, you will be there every step of the way, up or down. The positives will be normal to you, the negatives will be normal to you. And that's what it's all about. It's about remaining grounded, humble, and focused during the positives and the negatives. Because if you can keep the same energy during your positives, well, if you can keep the same energy from the positives during a negative cycle, then my God, you are essentially an invincible human being. Nothing will emotionally fuck you up anymore. Nothing will affect you. You will just ride the waves of life, and you will find that anything you are trying to achieve will come your way 100 times quicker when you open yourself to the cycles and allow it to come to you. Now, guys, I actually have run out of breath from talking so much, and I'm going to end the podcast on a nice positive note like that. I hope you have enjoyed it. I cannot wait to get back into the swing of things like this, because it just feels good to express myself and to share my thoughts, my mind, whatever's on my mind right now, my feelings, gratitude, you name it, I will express them in these podcasts. The way I see it is, I'm talking to you guys and you guys are listening and talking back to me in my head. I feel like right now I'm in an amphitheater and there's just thousands of people listening to me, so it just makes me happy to get what's off my mind and share knowledge at the same time as well. It's what I love doing, and that's why I'm going to be pushing further over the next coming weeks. Guys, the course is on its way. We have the Wizard Wednesdays now as well. The members portals, you name it, are being developed as we speak. There is so much exciting content coming out. I cannot even focus, and I will not be sleeping for another month or two until everything is complete. The website, absolutely unbelievable. Many of these features have never been seen in the crypto world before, and I cannot wait to just educate again my own platform. I feel unchained, I feel free, and I cannot wait to educate the world. So guys, Crypto Wizard podcast over and out. I will be back next week at the same time to educate and remind you all of the wonders of this world and the crypto market.